Hey crew, we are back for another Q&A, number 4 here. As we've been going, I've been getting more and more questions, but let's keep this rolling. So if you have anything you would like discussed, fire away. Jumping into this week, here's the question. A friend said I need to take 2 weeks off of carbs in order to reset my metabolism. Is this true? This is not true. Your metabolism does not have like some unplug it and then plug it back in and it's reset and all of a sudden it works magically. No such thing exists. Also, eating no carbs is gonna be pretty much impossible, or awfully impossible. And it's one of those things where in my opinion, taking 2 weeks off of carbs for what? As a punishment, without any further context, like, diving hard into I can't have whatever that is like an enjoyable piece of your like normal food intakes is a tricky area, because so you accomplish that for 2 weeks, then what? You now binge because you've gone without and you've put yourself in kind of the pain cave for no reason. And regardless, if it's fat loss that you're after, it's a calorie deficit anyways. Carbs are not evil. They don't do anything more for you than anything else will in terms of gaining fat. It's eating in a surplus of calories that will do that. So no such thing as resetting your metabolism. Definitely don't need to take 2 weeks off or any weeks off carbohydrates. My physical therapist said I can't go directly overhead because of impingement, but I can do other presses, just not directly overhead. What can I do? Great question. Things you can do are, in order to elicit a similar response, my two go-tos would be an incline dumbbell bench and a landmine overhead press. So for a incline press, you can set a box up and then put a bench onto that, or if you have an adjustable, that works as well. And then from there, you can take 2 dumbbells, go ahead and rock back. And then from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my shoulders down towards my hips, and then I can go with both at the same time. I can alternate keeping one high, therefore increasing the time under tension. The other alternative that I can do is take a barbell, place it onto the ground and jam it into the corner if I don't have a landmine, or into a box. And then from there, I can come down to a kneeling position. The pressing arm is going to be with the knee down. And from there, what I can do is squeeze my butt, brace my belly, and then I can drive straight up overhead. You can see overhead relative to this is not directly overhead. So if you're dealing with impingement, where going straight overhead in this capacity here is out of the cards. Being at a slight angle like that is going to make it a little bit more feasible. You're not going to lose the strength you've gained, and honestly, you might be able to gain some more while rehabbing. Super good question. Moving on, what's better, an hour run or 2 to 3 sessions making up an hour? Good question. I'd say really it's whatever's gonna lead to the most consistent ability to show up. So a lot of times people get lost in the weeds on what's better, an hour or 3 20-minute sessions. Ultimately, it's like whatever you're gonna do. At the end of the week, all the research backs that it's the time that you were spent moving more so than, how long each individual effort would be. My personal preference would be, I'd almost prefer you to get 3 shorter sessions or 2 shorter sessions, for the reason that it helps remind you of like why you're training, what you're looking to do, getting you out the door, getting you to enjoy, and honestly just getting out of the positions we're in. That being said, if you have an hour to get out and do something, absolutely get after it. The only time that the longer efforts really, really matter is if your objectives are longer efforts. Like you get good at what you train for. So if you want to run a half marathon, you want to ride 100 miles, you want to go hike in the Whites, you want to do something like that, you do have to put in that time in order to prepare your body to honestly work through that amount of time. Other than that though, I'd say whatever fits best with your schedule, that's what's going to win in the long run. Moving on toes to bar. So this little context, this person's coming from a CrossFit background. On toes to bar, how can I limit my swinging phase from getting away from me? After a rep or 2, I get this gnarly, uncontrollable swing. Great question. I love a good toe to bar. The two things I'm gonna say is as you get to the bottom of your swing and your feet are coming back under the bar, is to really focus on squeezing your glutes, because that's gonna help limit you from swinging. And then as you're coming up, instead of just letting momentum take the wheel, I want you to actively pull into your arms as that engages through your lats and helps keep you in a tighter kipping position. But I'll show you what I mean here, if I can get this set up. So the move is gonna be, as I come down through the bottom here and my legs are coming back, I wanna squeeze my butt, and that's gonna limit me going back. And then as my feet come up, I'm gonna pull the bar as if I'm gonna bow the bar to meet my feet. So I'm here, I come back, squeeze, come up, push forward, squeeze my butt in the back. Once I come forward, I pull this way, pulling. So for me, it's driving my arms, and I'm thinking my arms and my lats are meeting my toes instead of my toes coming up to meet my feet. And then as my legs fall, instead of just letting gravity happen, I come down, and once I'm right about here, my feet are together, I'm squeezing my butt, that stops my hip extension, and that's what creates my power going back up. So, that's that toe to bar. Probably one of my favorite movements personally. What is a general guideline for how much water to drink? Good question again. Unless you're really well overweight and have a lot of weight to lose, the general rule, and this seems astounding right off the gate, so it doesn't mean you need to go there tomorrow, but I would say is half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, aim for 100 ounces. If you weigh 150 pounds, aim for 75. I personally find, and for some people that might be a ton right out of the gate. So start small, build to that. Also, buy a slightly bigger water bottle. This, they usually say right on the bottom or somewhere on here. Mine says on the bottom, this is 40 ounces. So 2.5 of these for me works. Also carry it with you, always keep it with you. And the last thing that really helped me in the beginning was I put 3 rubber bands on here and I put them all at the bottom. Every time I'd finish one of these, I'd slide it to the top. And if it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon and all 3 were down here, I knew I had to get my shit in order and start moving. And when that happened, all of a sudden I'd have the visual representation of, am I succeeding or do I need to put a little more focus on that? The benefits of water are enormous. A lot of people overeat too because they're dehydrated. So don't underestimate the simplicity of just simply drinking a little more water. If I'm cutting calories, do I need to cut out alcohol? Short answer, no, you don't. In terms of long-term deal, alcohol, it's a depressant. It's really nice if you enjoy it though. I do. Drinking calories adds up a lot faster than people realize. So by and large, if you're in a caloric deficit, being mindful of keeping drinking calories in check, alcohol, even smoothies sometimes can be a little slippery. It adds up quick. You don't have that satisfaction of chewing things, and you can kind of chug a lot in a short period of time. So that would be the big reason I'd go against a ton of alcohol consumption. Also, a lot of times for some people, it clouds judgment. So I know for some people, they'll have a glass or 2 of wine, and all of a sudden it's like, poof, there goes my goals, I'm feeling good. I'll worry about that tomorrow, and that can be a slippery thing. So if you're gonna do that, make sure food's in check, or you have a good system for keeping yourself in line with that. But short answer, if you're cutting calories, do I need to cut out alcohol? No, you don't. You can drink responsibly. I want to do longer endurance efforts, but don't have the time to train long hours. Can I get away with shorter training sessions? This goes exactly in line with what I answered earlier. Honestly, you need to put yourself into those longer endurance efforts in training in order to be prepared for what's coming up. That said, building a larger base of GPP, general physical preparedness, will go a long way. You're just gonna overall be more durable. But if you're gonna go out and try to run a half marathon, 100-mile bike, do a big link up in the mountains, hike and ski Sugarloaf, whatever you're trying to do, if you haven't trained much towards that end range of how long it's gonna take, you're probably really gonna suffer. And also, the amount of stress that is on your body can be significant. So I'd also just be aware of that. I ran a half marathon without any training, kind of by accident. It was silly, but I paid for it. Like, my shins hurt for a really long time. I couldn't go for like a playful run for months. And that's a perfect example of I hadn't done anything that got me near that stimulus. Just because you can doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing for you. And if you're looking at something in the future that you would like to do, try your best to get something that's close in the time domain. Like, if running a marathon is going to be a 4-hour effort, try to get some that are 3.5, just to build to that capacity at least a couple of times. It doesn't need to be all the time, but a few in the tank definitely helps from a physical standpoint and absolutely helps from a mental standpoint. I don't trust the calorie calculators online. They seem to be too simple, and if I try, I can't get behind it. How do they know me? So this person's referring to, so as I upload my information, I put that I'm, this is my gender, this is how old I am, this is how much I weigh, this is how high I am, and poof, my activity level, and poof, here's my calculated calorie needs for maintenance. Meaning if I eat that amount of calories, I'm not gonna gain weight, I'm not gonna lose weight. How is that accurate? Well, it's largely fairly accurate, but that being said, like, you are estimating how much exercise you have, how much movement you do during the day, and it's exactly that. It's a guess. It's an educated guess. To the point of like the anxiety and things like that I know this person has had around these, my advice is I would worry way more about figuring out what that number is and then trying to find maintenance. So let's say you put in your data and it spits out 2,500 calories as your break-even point. You eat more than that, you gain weight. You eat under 2,500 calories, you lose weight. Simple. Start eating that, what they say, and then see what you land. If you're 170 pounds and you eat 2,500 calories and you lose a little bit of weight, you know that 2,500 calories is actually putting you in a deficit. So then from there, you can bump up 5 or 10% for your total calories, and all of a sudden your weight will stabilize. Conversely, if you want to go up, you can go up another 5 or 10, but you have worked to find your base rate. So you took the calculator that was online, you put your information in, you then applied it to yourself because you were the only one with your variables, and you saw that it was really close, but a little bit of tweaking nails it. Now from there, you know exactly what you need to be in a calorie deficit or exactly what you need to be in a calorie surplus to lose weight or to gain weight. Last question, to be careful on time. I want to gain muscle size. What is the best program for this? So the best program, this is a trick question in a sense. The best program is whichever one you're going to do consistently, A. B, whatever has progressive overload. So progressive overload meaning that you're doing a little bit more today than you were last time. If you did 5 sets of 10 at 100 pounds, next session, can you do 5 sets of 10 at 105 pounds? Or can you do 5 sets of 11 reps, so adding 1 rep at 100 pounds, the same weight you were the previous week? Something in terms of volume needs to be increased incrementally. Typically a gaining size, you'd be in like the 9 to 16, 8 to 15 rep range. And then if I want to gain muscle size, it's going to be pretty close to impossible to gain size if you're not in a slight caloric surplus, meaning gaining a little bit of weight. So I'd say if the actual goal is to gain muscle size, find a program that you find captivating. I don't program for this person, so I can program this for you if you would like. And then from there, it's make sure that it's progressing steadily week in, week out. And then really it's the nutrition piece. So I'd say the program is a smaller portion. The bigger piece is making sure that you're consistently on with your nutrition, putting yourself in a slight calorie surplus, because that's going to allow you the ability to have the fuel needed to elicit that change. So keeping this just under 15 minutes, If you guys have any questions for the next round, please fire away. If this sparked anything in you and you want further clarity, fire away. I'm here for you. Love you guys.